My name's Bruce McIntyre. I work at a corporate finance business called IMAS. IMAS is a specialist corporate finance boutique that works with entrepreneurs and owner managers purely in the financial services industry. And my hat at IMAS is I lead the Fintech coverage, and therefore in that context I work on M&A transactions as well as financings for Fintech businesses. So I've been asked to talk a little bit about Fintech future tech predictions for 2019. So just a couple of minutes on what we do. So we've closed over 200 transactions over recent years. My background before coming to I've been at IMAS for about 10 years, and prior to that spent a decade in what I call the bulge bracket, so the large investment banks, Citigroup and Bank of America being two of them. But at IMAS it's very much, as I say, the entrepreneurial stuff. So it's a lot of capital raising and M&A. The deal on the top left-hand corner there, so the NEOS deal, we closed just a few days ago. So this is an IoT platform, insurance platform that was acquired by Aviva. Very interesting business and definitely a sign of the future. But maybe we'll touch on that in a few minutes. The rest of these deals really cover insurtech, payments. You'll obviously recognise the American Express logo. We also do a little bit of work around lending tech and wealth tech. So within fintech, we see lots of different verticals, and we're active across most of those verticals. And the sort of play that I've got a range of colleagues. I mean, we're a focused house, but I've got a range of colleagues who specialise in different parts of financial services. So typically, I might work with some of those guys when we're trying to advise our clients. So that's a little bit about who we are. So I've got three predictions for 2019, specifically 2019 and out. Hopefully you can see the colours here. Probably not as clear as it could be, but one of my predictions is around the digitisation of banking services, and importantly, the way that it really is going mass market. And it's going mass market for a couple of reasons. Firstly, in terms of digital strategy, so what we're trying to do here is just lay out how the world, as we've seen it develop in financial services over the last number of years, has changed. So on the digital strategy, when I first joined IMAS back in the 2006 to 13 period, the digital strategy for financial services was really still in that establishing. Digital strategy is kind of like another route to market, and it was really one of many ways to get to your customer. Interestingly, around 2014, we would say it really started to move from just another little channel to actually completely redefining the front office. And a good example of that is the bank branch closures, and really I suppose once the tens and hundreds of millions started to be spent on replacing people with routes to market via technology in terms of getting customers into banks, that was when I think the game changed. Interestingly, we are now currently involved in two projects where not only is tech and the digital strategy affecting the front office, it's now affecting the whole organisation. So we're talking about wholesale changes in the organisation from the back office through to the middle office as well as the front office. And one of the projects that we're involved in is basically completely redefining, using AI, the way that a bank actually looks and how a customer gets into the bank. It's not physical, it's definitely a digital journey. And also importantly, getting away from all of the legacy systems and software, which I think was referred to earlier by one of the speakers. I mean, that is for sure one of the big problems that the banks have at the moment. Is some of the large banks have upwards of 300 different systems that they're trying to get to connect to each other and patch to each other, and that is a huge headache. So we're involved in a couple of projects that, and one in particular that is really looking to completely disintermediate that. And I think that is definitely a sign of the times. We're talking about, finally on this slide, we're talking about how customers are interacting with banks, and of course there's been, other than the physical journey, there's the digital journey from PC through to smartphones, through to tablets. We're now seeing IoT finally making an impact. Moving on to the next slide, open banking. I'm going to talk very briefly about open banking. I think some of you will have come across that, some of you will know it very well. So our prediction is, whilst open banking was introduced this year, we think that 2019 is the year where you really start to see open banking redefine customer relationships with their banks. Relationships going from the exclusive one-on-one from you to the bank to multiple banks, to going from your data being held by the bank only to your data being held by and effectively controlled through third parties, obviously with your authorization. What's interesting about that is we're seeing customers using multiple banks, continually changing, and importantly for the banks, they're now starting to open themselves up to selling their competitors' products as well as their own. And again, we're involved in a project where we're doing exactly that. So it's a Fintech that is helping a high street bank do that. And I think Barclays has already announced that initiative in the UK market. So we've already seen some of that coming, but I think more of that to come in 2019. Finally, what I call alphabet soup, which is regulation and regtech, or regtech, depending on who you are. I've heard both pronounced. So a lot of different force. So here in the middle here, you've got the alphabet soup. So all this different legislation that's coming in, either from Europe or from overseas. And interestingly for us, we're involved in actually a handful of projects where we see a lot of value being driven and a lot of M&A activity and financing activity, frankly, around the regtech space. So our prediction, just to finish off, is that regtech companies will continue to grow, and importantly, they will help the existing legacy players collaborate to survive. So that's it from me. That was my 3 predictions. Thank you.